What do you guys want to talk about?
Let me talk to you.
Yeah.
Throwdown Nation, we are live. It is a Monday. We are rolling on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter /X, Facebook, and Twitch. We are here with episode 169 of the Throwdown, where we celebrate the art and sport of professional wrestling with a strong focus on the indies. I'm your host, Matt. And tonight we are throwing down with a guy out of my home state of Texas, a guy who trains out of Lions Pride Wrestling, a guy who is 1/3 of the Obsidian faction, the Watchdog himself, Trent Mercer. How you doing tonight, Trent?
I'm good. A little tired, but I'm good. I'm here.
Well, that's all that. Sometimes that's all you can ask for.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And for those of you that are watching this live, if you have questions or comments, just throw them in the chat, and we'll either handle them as we go or do a little Q&A at the end. And looking over at the Instagram chat, I already see some folks showing up. We've got Fury Spike, Lily B979, Milwaukee Sean, and Pain Link Official. So we'll go ahead and get started with the first and the most obvious question, and that is, how long have you been wrestling?
I've been training for 5 years, and I've been for 4.
Very good, very good. So have you trained strictly at Lions Pride, or have you trained elsewhere, and who all has been part of training you?
So 90% of where I train. Every now and then, a few of us will go out to other places and train. We've trained, I think, maybe once or twice at Reality of Wrestling with some of their guys.
Oh yeah,
We've
that's Booker T. That's Booker T's place, isn't it?
Up in League City,
Yeah.
yes, sir. And then we've also, every now and then, a few guys will travel to New Texas or HPA, Houston Premier Arena, down in Houston as well. So a lot of our training is either in Bryan or we'll travel to Houston here and there to grow at the sport.
Gotcha. So in terms of the earliest portions of your training, what was the most challenging aspect of professional wrestling for you to wrap your mind and body around?
They may transition into the character that you need to be. Because it sort of came natural because I had a bit to build off of, and I'm not that great on the mic because public speaking was never my thing. So probably public speaking, and then also just learning how to turn that switch on and off from who Trent is in real life and who he is in the ring, and
Gotcha.
that was pretty issue.
Gotcha. So you mentioned that you did have an athletic background prior to moving into professional wrestling. So it sounds like you did some amateur wrestling. Did you do any other kind of sports?
So in school, they told us, like, if you wanted to do sports in high school, you had to do sports in middle school. And we didn't have wrestling in middle school. So I was always the kind of like track and field guy. I was always trying to learn and see where I tried high jump. It never really worked out. Hurdles were somewhat my thing, but I never really competed for it. But I knew I had great cardio and I could run for a good distance. So I was more of a mid-distance runner, about the 800-meter run for relay. And so I did that 7th and 8th grade to middle school. And then my 8th grade year, I dipped my toes in, but it wasn't really my thing. And then when I hit high school, I was like, okay, I don't have to play any other sport. I'm just going to jump right into wrestling, and that's the only thing I'm going to do. So I did wrestling from freshman year all the way to junior year when the pandemic hit. And then when the pandemic hit, I made the trip to Lions Pride Sports.
Gotcha. So, having done, almost 170 of these now, I've found that typically most of the people that I've had on the show, at the very least have been fans of this stuff the majority of their lives. Is that accurate with you? Are you pretty much a lifelong wrestling fan?
Oh, 100%. I could remember I was watching wrestling since I could walk.
So what would you say is your earliest wrestling related memory?
Earliest, I would say it's probably early 2000s, maybe around 2008, 2009. But I was watching it when I was living with my grandparents. Everybody keeps telling me grandfather when I was like 3 years old, and I was doing cartwheel to the couch. So, I mean, as much as I can remember, it's at least early 2000s.
Gotcha. So was there a particular point that you remember where your fandom kind of shifted and you started thinking, I think I could actually do this? Was there a particular moment, or was it more of just a gradual process?
I would say it was a gradual process because I got out of it for a little while around 2010, 2011, somewhere I got out of it. And then I got back into it around 2014 when NXT really started to kick off and we had all these big names.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So when they started picking up, I was like, ooh, this reignited a fire inside of me. I was like, I like this. So I kind of wanted to always do it, but I didn't know where to start. And I checked out like Booker different places that were close to Bryan College Station. And we just didn't have nothing. But in 2017, Lions Pride came in and I had about them till 2019, 2020. And I was like, okay, now let's check this. And so we slowly made the process, set up the appointment, go see what it's all about. And from there, we just slowly got out of that fan mindset and started looking at everything in a different perspective.
Absolutely. Well, I've had Chris Chaos, one of your compatriots in Obsidian, on the show previously, and man, he was a heck of a guest. Really great dude. So, tell us about Obsidian from your perspective. What are your thoughts on that faction? How did it come to be? Tell us the Obsidian story from your perspective.
So I started out originally in a tag team called Onslaught, and it was me and one of the guys that I trained with, and they were polar opposites because he was more of like the slow powerhouse type, and I always wanted to be like Motor City Machine Guns and the X Division and TNA and just quick, fast-paced sling. And I didn't really know who I could bring into the group who was already training. And so I was looking around and trying to see if any of my friends were like, who's really interested in wrestling? Like, who's a wrestling fan as much as I am? And Chris and I went to school together. We graduated the same class. And I was, hey man, what do you thought about being a pro wrestler? And he was like, I've loved it, but I never thought it could actually be possible to be a pro wrestler. And I was like, hey, come check this out and see what you think. And we made a tour appointment for him. He was like, okay, you kind of sold me on this. He was like, all right, now I'm kind of sold on this. He signed up, and we took him on the road pretty quick. And I would say he was on the road traveling with us, and we like just little spot for him to work with us in, like spots, so he could learn while he was out there on the. And from there, it was slowly just became me and Chris because our other tag decided to go out and do his own thing. And so Chris and I were left with, all right, who are we? Who are we individuals and who are we team? And so we started looking around, thinking of different ideas, and trying to figure ourselves and find a team. And our current manager, Evan DeVille, or former manager, however we want to look at it, still trying to figure that out. Haven't heard from him in a while, but he was like, "What if we call ourselves?" Looked at each other and we thought about it for a second. We were like, "I like that idea." Ran with it, and we slowly just developed who we were. We found ourselves, and we slowly just pieced it all. And next thing you know, Obsidian is what it is. It's a soldier and the jester just work on. Even though we're polar opposites, we find a way to coexist.
Absolutely, man. So looking over at the Instagram chat, we've got the Ugly Dojo and Totally Elevated have joined us as well. And I know that the physical side of all of this is definitely important. And what would you say in particular? What exercise or group of exercises do you feel is most important in terms of keeping Trent Mercer the watchdog? What do you feel are the most important exercises for you?
I haven't really thought about that one before. I've never been asked that. Usually, I have because I have my own personal trainer and workouts for me. But I would say if like 4 to 5 times a week, lifting, your basic compound movements to get the chest, the shoulders going. But it's the training, doing like lunges with the barbell on my back, and so it's a lot. I would say just stay limber, just stay flexible, especially when you're going up and down trying to gain muscle and then get on a cut. And so I would really say just flexibility and keeping your nice and is for me fitness wise.
Gotcha. So, away from wrestling, what are some of your other hobbies and interests?
So I don't really do a whole lot because my schedule is so busy. And besides working out on my free time, listening to music, trying to probably draw my character, and recently I've gotten into. So I'm currently working on being able to speak Japanese. We're working on just and finding things that can help me in the future. Just learning new skills.
Gotcha. So is is trying to learn Japanese, basically in preparation for hopefully working over there as a wrestler, or
A
is
little
it
bit.
just something that's just always interested you?
A little bit of both. I've always liked the Jap culture. It's always intrigued me, and we do get a good amount of some Japanese, especially of New Texas Pro,
Mm-hmm.
and then they'll bring down some talent. I know NWA and some Japanese talent. I know when my coach was wrestling, he wrestled, so I was like, "Oh, that's cool," and I wanted to be
Very
able
cool.
to like, yeah, I'll learn how to communicate with them for like if I ever were to go to Japan. And Japan is one of those countries I want to go wrestling.
Yeah, yeah, and somebody that I really admire for how he completely embraced the Japanese culture was Kenny Omega. When
Mm-hmm.
he went over there, he became fluent in Japanese and really fully embraced the culture. And I
Yep.
always just thought that was so cool. The amount of respect he showed over there, being a gaijin, in that culture. But I mean, he
Mm-hmm.
became so revered over there, and I think a lot of that was because of how respectful he was to them.
Oh yeah, 100%. A lot of top guys over there, like Tamatonga when he, Francesco, Kira, they all learn Japanese, love the culture, and they love learning about
Yeah,
it. It's a very beautiful place, from what I've heard.
yeah, yeah. You know, Interestingly enough, several years ago, and this is the most random thing in the world, I actually ran into Tamatonga in a local grocery store here in Metro Atlanta. Um, and at the time, he was still over in Japan working. So I don't know what in the world he was doing here. But I mean, literally, we ran into each other in the produce section of a Kroger. It was just
That's
absolutely bizarre and random. But
mhm.
so you mentioned that you're a fan of music, and we're mostly a wrestling related show, but we do dabble a little bit into pop culture. So I'm always looking for recommendations. So are you watching or listening to anything cool right now?
A couple of bands that I've found over the years, and a few I found like within the last year or so. Nathan James, he's a big one that's slowly making his way to the top. An old one that's been around for a while that I don't. It's a whole lot of credit or isn't as popular as people would say is Attila. Attila's out great music. War, which is one of my favorite bands because my theme song is by Wage War, so they're one of my favorites. And yeah, there's just a lot. I could go on for an hour probably talking about different bands that I list.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, when I first started doing live streaming back in January of 2024, the first 6 months I was doing this, I was actually doing a similar type of thing, but talking to unsigned bands. And then July of last year, I basically started including wrestling, and I discovered fairly quickly that it was easier to get reliable bookings with wrestlers than it was with musicians. So I kind of shifted the focus. But I'm a hobbyist musician myself. I play bass and a little bit of rhythm guitar. And so yeah, I mean I could talk hours about music too, but so, uh, outside of wrestling, what person inspires you the most and why?
Uh, my grandfather. My grandfather helped raise me because my dad wasn't ever in the picture. He would
Hmm.
come in here and there, but it was more of just to cover his own. Before he passed this past February, he was my biggest role model. And I think now, after his passing, I think in wrestling is just a big homage to him, really. I mean, the more that I think about my character and who I'm just ties back to this. He was a Vietnam Marine. He was an outdoorsman, so the military side and headhunt side, it all ties back to him, really, and how he raised me.
Gotcha. Well, that's beautiful, man. And I'm my condolences for your loss.
Thank you.
So, you mentioned that you're basically from the Bryan College Station area of Texas. What is your favorite thing about that area?
Really, really tough question because we live in college town, so it's, oh my god, game days is the worst.
Yeah.
But I will say it's probably that we may seem like a big town, but we're a very, very small community and everybody looks out for themselves. Especially with Lions Pride, we're always trying to help out the community in any way we can. And it's getting to work with Lions Pride, it really opened my eyes to how much the community works there and supports one another.
Gotcha. So, they say that the best wrestling personas are usually yourself turned up to 11.
Yep.
And you had mentioned that a lot of your character and everything sort of traces back to your grandfather. But tell us a bit about in-ring Trent Mercer. Tell us about the Watchdog and kind of compare and contrast him with everyday you.
So the Watchdog actually slowly transited out of, and we're now working on a new character. That really it really my evolution in wrestling, because when I was 145 pounds in high school, I was skin and bone, trying to make weight to be at my wrestling events. My coach wasn't the greatest. He didn't talk to us about nutrition or how to eat healthy or anything like that, or how to properly. So I was malnourished when I left high school, and then that transitioned to pro wrestling because I was the smallest guy, the smallest dog in the fight. I was always stepping up to like biggest guys in the ring. There's a picture out there I know for a fact. It's me standing across Jay Alexander, and it's like if you look at, it's like you see Jay, and then you're like, yeah, he's gonna break this kid in two. He's just gonna snap this kid like a twig. But picture right there, and then now I can really tell where my growth is. Because young cub who is now a lone wolf out there, just trying to carve his own path and build his own legacy. So it's making that slow transition from Watchdog into what we're trying to build a character into now.
Nice.
So
Nice.
there's really much of a difference.
Gotcha. So tell us about your very first match. What was it like? How did it go? What were your thoughts? Tell us about the first one.
So my very first match was, and it was
Okay.
to determine who gets a bye in this tournament that we had come, the inaugural Lions Den champion at Lions Pride Sports. And it was in Caldwell, just a small town. The crowd wasn't the biggest, but it was big enough. Like for your first match, you walk out there and you're like, okay, your heart's racing really fast, but it just slows down. The wanted, everything just slows down, and your vision enhances and focuses in on one thing at a time. and then all your heart just racing constantly.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as the bell rang, it sort of just all went away. Walking through the curtain, getting up into the ring, it's hard to explain. You get the butterflies to go away, and then it's like it just feels so certain. You would be able to do this in front of even like 20 to 50 people, and it was just gone in a flash. Really, you're out there 1 second, you're like, oh wait, that's it. You're ready for the next one. You're like, let's keep going. Let's keep going. I want more.
Absolutely, man. So, we've heard about the first one. Now, if you can narrow it down, tell us about your favorite match that you've been a part of.
Favorite match? I've had so many that is really like I can put at my top 5. But I think one of the most like advanced matches that I've done that really pushed me a little bit was Nate Bradley at Texas All-Star Wrestling. And because Nate is a phenomenal, it's insane that I actually have him here in Texas. But he was the champion at TASW at the time, and he pushed me to really think like, okay, we're gonna make this make sense, but it's gonna be very fast paced. It's gonna be straight up a cruiserweight match, just fast. You're gonna have to be explosive. You're gonna have to make hard contact. You're gonna have to make contact, and it's gonna seem like a lot, but when we really got in the ring and we narrowed it down, it was just a fun match. Everything went sweet. But nothing ever really goes bad to say because you can always learn from it. And
oh, for sure.
I would say that's probably one of the most advanced matches that I've for sure, and that really pushed me to a new level.
Gotcha. So Lily B979 actually brings up this comment and says that the coffin match was dope. So tell us about that. What is she referring to?
So when I was talking about Onslaught earlier, so at Lion, it was just me and Hostage Hirsch, who goes by the Coffin King. And, I had just won my first ever title, the Lions ship, which I had been to get for probably about 2 years, I would say. I won it at Here's Live. I was celebrating. We had this video play of like this creepy, cryptic message that we have seen for the past couple months, and so my old tag partner slides me in the back with a shovel, and that begins that blood feud all the way up to Fight to Unite 2. And that match, I will say it was very emotional because the previous year, one of us wasn't on the card. Previous Fight to Unite, one of us wasn't even on the card, and the other one was getting jobbed out and enhancing another talent. And so for us to go from either being not on the card or being enhancement talent became the main event of the event the following year. And not only that, had such a blood feud where he had kidnapped my girlfriend, he had started threatening my family and all this and that, interfering in all of my title, and just him interfering in all of my title matches, like it sort of made the title run, I guess, protected, and because I never had like one or a single defense where I pinned somebody or somebody. It was always because he was interfering. So it made it even more personal because I was trying to make sure a memorable title reign. He had brought my family to it, and it was so me and him were just two guys who got on the Lions Den, and then we became two brothers fighting back to back. So there was all the emotional ties that were, and then for us to have that put that final cherry on top, which was the first ever coffin match in Lions Fight Sports. Very emotional and definitely ways that I've put on in my career.
Gotcha. Well, our brother from another mother, Chris Page from CCP Podcasting, just popped on really quick and just said to tell you a quick hello. He's actually live as well, but just wanted to say hey.
Yes, sir. How's it going?
Man, Chris is a good dude.
Yes, he's looking for sure. Him and the real of Truth Faction. Shout out to both of them. They have out for me ever since I've gotten with both of them, and I can't wait to see them do in the future together.
Oh, for sure. And Brianna Franklin, who is she was on the show not too long ago. She is actually a trainee now at House of Champions in Orlando, Florida. She's in the audience and says hello as well. And
Nice to meet you.
So, if you could only be one, would you rather be great in the ring or great on the mic? And why?
I'd be great on the mic because like I said I have bad states. It's hard for me to even talk in my matches. Sometimes, again, I feel like I'm in Japan. Just even the crowd, I'm focusing on what's going on next. I'm focused in. It's a combat sport. But that and then being able to cut a promo to get the crowd emotionally involved in whatever story that I'm trying to get over. I would definitely say being good on the mic is what I would rather go with.
Gotcha. So, do you have a preference yourself between working heel or babyface?
Not necessarily. Working face, I guess, as of right now, because I never were. I think I'm face at maybe 2 promotions right now, but everywhere else is like, dude, they're like, you just have that smug look of a heel, so we're gonna put you on as heel. I was like, all right, let's do it. So we're at Lions Pride, we're taught like, look, you need to be able to work face, and you need to be able to work heel. So any way that it mostly just depends on and what they need that night. Just that soldier mentality. Like, all right, promoter wants this, I'm gonna go out and do this. They want that, they get that.
Absolutely. And, the more you can be kind of a Swiss Army knife for the promoter, the more they're going to book you. So,
Yes, sir. Most definitely.
So, in terms of your in-ring work and your promos, who would you say are some of your influences?
For in-ring or promo?
Both.
Both.
Yeah.
I would say my ring for like wrestling wise, probably guys like Tama Tonga and Finn Balor. It's because I like technical wrestling, and because I have that amateur wrestling background, and then I've always been a fan of martial arts, so the striking aspect, just naturally, I'm like, all right, let's just screw it. So I would definitely say just Japan is like, guys from Japan are a big influence on my in-ring style. But to be more specific, Tama Tonga and Prince Devitt or Finn Balor guys for in-ring work. Promo-wise, I would say there's so many good ones. If I pull from Japan, I would say Drilla Maloney right now because he makes Z. And from WWE, there's so many that I can pull from WWE. You know, there's CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, Triple H was a great one back then. Seth Rollins is a really good on a promo on the mic. So there's a lot that I pull from WWE for promo. It's just hard to narrow it down.
Yep. So, do you have an all-time favorite match as a fan? A match that just really speaks to you and you just find yourself gravitating back to it and it never really gets old?
There's two. They're both NXT matches. They're both NXT matches, and because one of them is Balor versus Shinsuke Nakamura right before Finn Balor.
Oh my gosh! Yeah,
that match, that one, and then Finn Balor when Neville came back from the main roster for one quick. And the reason that those two always gravitate to him is because, like I said, I love WWE and I love Japan. So seeing all three of those talents work one another, it's showing how they bring their New Japan training and they show you how they transition it into a WWE style match. You get the emotion, you get the cinematic look to it, as well as the sports aspect of it. It's they found a way to make the two styles coexist in one. And I think that's why I just get to them is because it's, taking the two we're watching and you put them together in one and they just make a masterpiece.
Yep. So piggybacking on to that question, do you have an all-time favorite promo as a fan?
Promo that he cuts on Brock Lesnar for I'm trying to remember I think it was a No Mercy preview. It was the one where he was talking about how he is an
Yep.
and how he's about to start talking about, his drug abuse. He talks about he's an addict of the people, addict of the adrenaline high. He just brings so much emotion out in that one promo.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because that there was drug abuse that it connects on a different level than people would. So I understand it so much more, and it tugs at the heartstring more. And any time that you would recommend somebody go and watch, I'm always throwing out Eddie Guerrero cutting his promo on Brock Lesnar before their big title match.
Yep. That's definitely a good one. Another one that I tell, young wrestlers that come on this show to go back and check out was Mick Foley's promo in ECW, the Kane Dewey promo, where somebody in the audience had held up a sign saying Kane Dewey, which was his son, who was like 8 years old at the time. And and it was similar. It was but it was the raw emotion of a guy thinking about the concept of somebody caning his 8-year-old son, and it was very real, and I mean it came from an emotional depth in Mick Foley that is just crazy. So if you haven't seen that promo, it's on YouTube. Go check it out because I mean it is very real, and the anger and the pain that he was feeling seeing that sign is so freaking real, man. It's magic.
Definitely have to go check that out.
So, in your opinion, at this moment, who are the best male and best female wrestler in the world? At this moment, who's the best man and who's the best woman?
Who? Best female? I'd have to probably go with Stephanie Vaquer, right? Because just what she's done in WWE within her first year is
It's crazy.
Incredible. I don't remember actually, no, of getting to hold the NXT women's title, NXT women's North title, the WWE championship, and the crown jewel champion. That's nobody's been able to hold 4 titles in 1 year. It's a incredible achievement that I think that really makes her stand out of the rest, and it just shows how much work into her career and how dedicated she is to the sport.
Absolutely.
And, male competitors as of
it's not an easy question.
It's really not, because you look at if you look at WWE, you got Rollins, who's busting his butt for the past decade, just putting in, fighting through leukemia and everything that he's done. And then if I go to, you got Gabe Kidd, who's out there. I don't know if he ever takes a break. He's everywhere. He's working shows in Japan. He's working shows in Canada, the UK. He's all over the place. There's so many male talent, so much male talent that's on top. It's hard to determine who the best in the world really is.
Yeah. I agree. I'll let you off the hook on that one. There's just
too much talent.
Right. So, and this can be present day or past. Who would be a dream opponent for you? Who would Trent Mercer love to have the opportunity to share a ring with?
I could say, because Finn Balor is one of my top guys, I could say Finn Balor. But if I really like to pick somebody's brain who knows the well, I would probably say Eddie Guerrero. So, because not only would I like to pick his brain about the business, I would like to learn about him, like how he stayed mentally there while he was coming up on the road, just getting from town to town, especially after he is an addict, like how he mentally kept himself sane out there on the road. It's just, I think I would pick his brain in a business aspect and also on a more deeper, like, personal level. Like I said, because I've been around stuff like that when I was a kid. And just, we all have our demons that we deal with mentally. I would like to know how he handled those demons on the road. So I would probably say Eddie Guerrero, just to, pick his brain on in every aspect, really.
Gotcha. So, what is your favorite move? What is something you just really enjoy doing? And on the flip side of that, is there a move that you won't do or you would at least rather not do? And that can be giving or receiving.
So a move I really like to do, I have one that I've yet to debut, do it, but it's a move that I saw from Lucha Underground a few years back. Did like this running Yakuza kick. I've done it one time, and I felt currently doing right now, I would probably say maybe the Death Valley Driver, or it would probably be the Death Valley Driver because I do mine Mako Satomura style where I keep them close, but I don't drop them dead, or it's the spine buster into the double foot stomp that I do. So one of those two are my two, like favorite moves to do. A move that I wouldn't want to take. I'm one of those guys, like, I don't like to say no to anybody because it's like I like to be able to work with everybody and like do every move so that way I make them look good, look like the star that they are.
Right.
But I would probably say maybe a Canadian destroyer because I've heard that, not everybody can take a Canadian destroyer and not everybody can give one. So I'd be open to take it. But if like I was told like, hey, you're like, this is a move that, that just doesn't work in your favor to like whether you're taking or giving, it would probably be that. And I would just be like, okay, cool. I try at the very least, I'm not wondering always. Somebody will come up to be like, hey, you cool taking this move? Yeah, okay, cool. Let's do it. But if somebody told me like maybe don't do it because it's probably not a move that works well with you, then I'd probably.
Gotcha. So you've been doing this long enough that I'm sure this probably applies to one degree or another. So I'll ask you, what hurts right now?
Um, probably my left hip. I don't know what it is. I think it's like an old amateur wrestling injury that I have.
Mm-hmm.
But after some matches, I'll have my lower hip will start to hurt really bad, and I'll have a limp. But slowly like getting my body to where that doesn't hurt that much. Chiropractors, proper like stuff to help with that to make sure I'm 100%. But I mean, it's better than having my bro hurt. I mean, that doesn't hurt as bad as my lower does. So
Gotcha. So, in the time you've been doing this, what is the worst bump you have taken?
I would probably say it's the double BO toss because it's such an easy move to do. But the reason that's the first one that comes to mind is because I broke my collarbone on that one. And, it was a freak accident. Nobody's at fault. It was just one of those things where it's like, oh, toss, you don't rotate entirely. You land on directly on your shoulder. I'm not anybody about it. The crowd was a little. I think mad about was that the crowd didn't get the match. But at the end of the day, we're human. We have incidents where we get hurt, and that's probably the worst bump that I've ever taken. Really.
Gotcha. Yeah, one of my son's lacrosse teammates just broke his collarbone. So shout out to Hudson. That's not a pleasant injury.
No, it is not. But the recovery, depending on which route you go, is not as long as you would expect. That's for sure.
Gotcha. So, what is your take on the role that social media is playing as a promotional tool in wrestling, specifically indie wrestling?
I think social media has, in a lot of ways, because would get the opportunities that I have, if it was people like looking out for me and like doing my stuff, or even sending it to bookers that I don't know about. I said Real Moment of Truth Faction. They've been working with me. They got of the guys that I consider one of my brothers, Jet Calloway. He's about to debut in Arizona. I think he's going to Chicago here soon. You know, for guys that are looking out for him. So there's his stuff to Chicago. Real Moment of Truth is sending his stuff to Arizona. So it really helps. You're trying to really venture out and find a group of people who are like-minded individuals, want to work with you and see you grow and be successful. I think it's helping each other out as just a wrestling community and as a family, and just want to do what they love.
Absolutely. So, knowing everything you know at this point in your life, if you could give any advice to your younger self, what would it be?
I would tell that whatever you do, don't let it. My life has had a lot of ups and downs, but I wouldn't change it for the world. I have, I have family that aren't blood related or aren't married into the family, that have helped me along the way, have been there for me when certain members of my family haven't. My stepmom, she's still there for me when my dad isn't, and they're no longer together. I would definitely say, don't think this is forever. This is only just a small chapter in your life that you just gotta tough it out and just ride through the storm that it is. At the end of on the other side of the storm, it's such, if you want to get cliche with it. No, I have a great support system, from my coaches to my family that is blood related or not blood related, to my family that I get from wrestling. I wouldn't change anything in my past. I would just tell my younger self, look, it gets.
That's awesome. So, do you have any pre-show traditions? Any things that you try to do consistently before you walk through the curtain?
So I always like to have my headphones in and just go over the match and look at it from different aspects and views. But I have a certain prayer that I myself before I walk through, and my mom knows it. I think I told it to her before I a few years back. She knows exactly what it is, and I'll do that, and then I'll just a small prayer to my grandfather. Just telling him and watch over me, make sure that I'm safe out there, and guide me through.
Gotcha. So, just kind of a quick rundown. What all do you carry in your gear bag, and do you carry anything unique or unusual?
Just gear, wrist tape, paint. If I decide to paint my face one night, bicep band. Might carry a little bit of candy with me just in case. I need that sugar to get the veins popping and everything. But just the usual. Anything that I need for like my hair, deodorant, just anything, so that way I don't smell or look bad before I walk through the curtain and then looking like I've been through a car wreck.
Gotcha. So something that we've done in all of these that's just been kind of fun is we've let the current guest pose a question for the next guest. And my previous guest last night was kind of a legend in the wrestling business, the outlandish Zicky Dice. And the question that he posed, he said was actually kind of inspired by something that Joe Hendry does. And he basically kind of sort of breaks a wrestler up into various aspects. So if you can reflect on things as they stand right now in terms of things like your physique, your in-ring work, your promos, and your overall commitment to the business, what is the main weak point that you have in your overall presentation as a wrestler that you are currently working on? What is the main thing that you are working on as a wrestler right at this moment?
Talking trash. I think that's the biggest thing, is just getting comfortable in the ring and being able to get the crowd. Sometimes you have to walk on eggshells depending on where you're at, because they're like, oh, you got to be very careful, because I like it, or there's kids in the audience. You just gotta learn to be flexible and how you work the crowd. And
Gotcha.
that's what I'm working on right now, is just talking trash to the crowd and how to be quick with a comeback when they start saying, "Oh, you suck." It's like, oh, this is what I have to fire back with. You always gotta, I guess you could say how Ricky Starks says it. You always want to have that in the chamber and ready to fire when they pop off with something.
Yep. You've got to be in the moment, but you've also got to be thinking 2 or 3 moves ahead at the same time. So
It's a big chess game. It's just a giant chess game.
It is, both physically and mentally.
Yes, big time. It's a pain in the butt sometimes too.
Oh, I'm sure. So, knowing that this is part of a series, do you have a question that you would like to pose to the next guest? If nothing springs to mind, you can always message me with something if something occurs to you later on.
Yeah, I'll probably have to message you, because I don't know how you topped the last question that your guest gave you. That's like a really good question. I'll have to.
I actually had a really good time with Zicky. If you have a chance, go and definitely check that one out. It's on my YouTube channel, and I mean, he is an entertaining guy, and really has a great mind for the business. So he's definitely somebody to check out. So we're getting toward the end of things right now. So do you have any upcoming shows or anything at all that you'd like to give some hype to? I've got most of your social media running on the ticker on the bottom of the screen, but do you have anything you want to hype?
This Saturday, Cleburne. It might be Cleburne. Quote on that. Advanced Wrestling is having a bar. I'll be fighting for the American Championship up there. Then that fight, I'll be traveling out to. What promotion is that? I can't remember the promotion that's on the 9th. I know there's a promotion running on the 9th, but Sports is hosting their 8th anniversary. Friday, November 21st. So definitely, if you're in the Bryan College Station area or any come on down and support us. That's the promotion. New Texas Pro is their anniversary show. Is a lot of good talent's going to be there this Sunday. So weekend lined up.
Gotcha. Well, as far as what we've got coming up here on the Throwdown, this Thursday, the 6th at 7 p.m. Eastern, we've got episode 170, and our guest is actually a Florida-based pro wrestler, the Mad Hatter, Rafael Delgado. And then this coming Sunday, at a special start time of noon, 12 p.m. Eastern, I've got episode 171, and our guest is a UK-based pro wrestler, Brazen of the Woods. He's actually, we're kind of doing a bit of a twofer on Sunday because Brazen is actually going to be on Chris Page's show at 9 a.m. Eastern. And then he's coming on my show, 3 hours later. Chris and I have a sort of a loose affiliation with each other, and we kind of send each other guests here and there, and really just do what we can to kind of support what we've each got going. So Chris has been a really good friend to the show, and just a good friend in general.
Oh, great guy.
But oh, for sure. And so, I mean, those are the next 2 episodes, but I'm actually booked up through the remainder of November and starting to get some bookings into December. So there's a lot of cool stuff coming up. So definitely keep an eye on my socials because, a lot more stuff is coming. And before we wrap all this up, Trent, do you have any final words for the audience?
Just support your local indie wrestling. We can come out as much as you can. I know money-wise, it's take the family out to a show in wrestling, but, support the best that you can. Go out to shows, buy our merchandise. Just support indie wrestling. It's the biggest thing I can say right now.
Well, I definitely can't argue that point at all. And for those of you that have been watching this live, thank you. For those of you that'll be seeing this on replays and such, thank you for that. If you like what we've got going here, do the old like, comment, share, and subscribe. Every little bit of that helps. And all of my socials are on my link tree and my Instagram bio. So if you have the time, take the time to pop over to my various platforms and give me a follow. Like I said, it all helps. And until Thursday night at 7 with the Mad Hatter, Rafael Delgado, be good to each other, love each other, and let's keep throwing down.